So almost 15 years ago, I met this man at a yoga retreat with my little kids, and he had a turban on, and I never wore a turban. I was supposed to because that was the tradition in Kundalini Yoga. Well, anyway, I met this man and we became friends. Little did we know that we were, I want to say, spiritually connected, and there was a divine purpose for that, and that we were going to create a book. And today, we're going to talk about this incredible book that has healed so many people, and how these days I'm hearing about it more and more from people who have said that this ancient wisdom is now becoming more mainstream in therapists' office, in sound healing schools, in nutrition environments. And it's all in one book for you. We wrote this book in 2015, and it was a labor of a lot of love, a lot of hard work, no AI. And I think it's pretty amazing. And we don't talk enough about it. So today I have Dharm Khalsa, my dear friend, on the podcast with me to talk about how we are going through a very difficult time in the world. And there are tools that can help, that can transform, that can completely awaken the energy system and the potential. So welcome, Dharm. I am so glad that you joined me, and welcome everybody to the Karena, Virginia podcast, where we expect the best and we get it. How are you doing, Dharm?
Good. It's great to see you there on my video screen here and be able to talk a little about the book. It's really true that these days things are rough. There is conflict all over the world. There's conflict in workplaces. There's conflict in families. And it just seems in relationships, to be the thing, right? Is like, who's against whom? And what are these disagreements? And what side, what kind of stance are you going to take? So the tools in that book definitely can help navigate and provide some clarity.
Do you want to tell everybody what the name of the book is?
Well, you want me to tell them? The book is Essential Kundalini Yoga. And I think what we tried to do there, Karena, is create a book that was that was independently thought. Even though the traditions that go into the yoga are real, there's also a tradition among yogis of being a bit iconoclast and presenting authenticity. So the book was why the title of the book is Essential. It's the essence. It's the essence of what goes into the yoga. And essence of what goes into these techniques and practices that are detailed and explained, I think, in a pretty good way in the book.
And we wanted to keep it accessible for people who had never even practiced yoga before, or for people that were a little intimidated by people wearing turbans and what Kundalini looked like from someone looking at it from the outside. We wanted it to be an invitation and a way that we could create a community of people who would be able to practice the technology, the science, the sacred wisdom without feeling like they could do it wrong or they would hurt themselves or there was fear. Instead, just pick it up, open to any page and do one of the practices, or look in the glossary. So maybe you're having a hard time conceiving a pregnancy. There's a whole section there. Maybe you're having a hard time attracting a partner. There's a whole section there. Maybe you're having a hard time with pain. Maybe you're having a hard time with blocks. Maybe you feel stuck. It's all in this book. I sound
There
like a
it is.
salesperson. Here it is.
I'm glad
But,
you brought it. I was thinking I should have brought the book. Yeah.
oh no, I also brought, look at this, Abundance and Miracles.
Wow. Yes.
This is the DVD that I created first, and Dharm helped me with some of this also. And the company that bought this DVD from us produced it and then asked us if we wanted to write a book. Well, actually, they bought it from me because it's me on the DVD, and then basically Dharm and I agreed that we would write this book together. So we didn't have to do it. You know, these things happen when they're meant to happen. We never did any book proposal or anything. We were just asked by Sounds True, will you write a book on Kundalini Yoga and make it mainstream? We don't want turbans. We want the photos to be very accessible. And yes. And we did it. And it's here. And so, you know, it's funny because I put the DVD up. I still have so many of these. Plus I have the ones that Sounds True made, and nobody uses DVDs now. So they get the downloads, but people ask for it. So I put it on eBay, and somehow it started to sell, and people are still using DVDs. So, I don't know. I was ready to go give them to Goodwill, but I think that I do think that was another labor of love. Gosh, the energy that we had. I mean, it's amazing how we would get up at like.
Well, that book was written in the wee hours. Yes.
Yes.
Because you have a whole life.
And we would just, and then there was a time when we had to edit a few of the chapters, and we spent hours every day editing it. And then remember when they said, oh, it already went to printing, so we can't even use that. I mean, we have so much that we could actually write probably 2 more books, Essential Kundalini Yoga 2 and 3. Remember, we wanted to call the book Glow, and that's what I think we should talk about today. We actually wanted to call it Glow because what this practice does, and what we spent a lot of time writing about, is enhancing the radiant body and keeping your aura in the healthiest state possible, without any rips, without any tears. And for people who don't understand that, it's very real. It's energy. And the energy body is just as real as the physical body. You just can't see it. Well, some can. Some can see auras, right? But that energy body is where dis-ease starts. It is also the environment where, if we are in abusive relationships, the chiseling begins. You know, they say that a lot of people who stay in abusive relationships end up with autoimmune diseases or end up getting sick, or, you know, many different things. The body keeps score, but it's the energy body that has to be protected and sustained and healthy for the physical body to be so. And we focus so much on our thinking mind, but when we recognize the importance of the energy body and the soul and the physical body, as well as the breath and the thinking mind, we open up this opportunity for nervous system regulation, for protection from any kind of energetic force that might be coming our way, even protecting ourselves from toxic environments where we might even need to be, even if it's a work environment, when we need to show up and people might feel like it's okay to act a certain way, and we don't really have the ability to say, you can't speak to me like that, even though they're your boss, or whatever it is. We have to keep that energy body sealed, protected. And the other wonderful component about this is that once we have that, then we can shine light out from the energy body, and we become magnetic to attracting into our lives naturally and with ease whatever our deepest heart desire is, because the deepest heart desire is in the blueprint for our existence, because we were born with it so that it could be our wish fulfilled, so that we could live into our potential. So I'm going to hand this over to you, Dharm, and I'm going to ask you what you have to say about the eighth chakra, the radiant body, and what you recommend people do to protect themselves and to shine the light outwards instead of taking in things that might be toxic or painful or unhealthy.
When I hear you talk, and I imagine somebody who might be a novice listening, I think the first concept here is that how do you your energy. So you have a body, obviously, and you take a shower and you clean your body, you take a bath, you brush your teeth, your clothes that you wear. I mean, hopefully they're laundered and not stinking to high heaven. But how do we take care of our energy? It's the energy. So, and we're all animated. We're alive. There's energy flowing. What's the state of that energy? And I think what you're saying, Karina, is that our energy, and you can call it energy body, because it's an intact thing when we are centered, we are incarnated, we have been born, we're in this body, we have this body. But what's running the body is the energy. It's not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the body is running the energy. So this energy field that we have, measurable at a distance from your heart, from your thinking,
And when you
scientifically,
say measure, yeah, can you explain
is
that to everybody?
scientifically measurable.
Measurable at a
So
distance, yeah.
the flow of energy through your body, they will stick electrodes and take a electrocardiogram. They can also get your brain waves, but those brain waves don't stop at your skin. They don't stop where your physical body ends. They can be measured in the electromagnetic field at some distance from you. Um, I don't want to entirely hold it to, I tend to go to the scientific because people understand, this is the science behind it, and science is limited. There are other things, the spiritual essence of who we are, that I don't think are measurable.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to explain that what we're talking about in Kundalini Yoga, it's really the yoga of your energy. It's about how are you taking care of your energy? How are you waking up your energy? How is your energy field um, projecting into your environment and into your relationships? And that when you talk about glow, it's really true. We have a glow. They can measure the photons, the light that's being emitted by your cells. And that's a fairly new phenomenon. I was just reading about this, that your cells create light, emitting photons all the time. And then so Kundalini Yoga, from the beginning, what is Kundalini is that spark of energy that we talk about it rising through the spine and activating the 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 broad energy centers. People know about the chakra system, but there's
And the
more.
nadis, right?
The nadis, yeah, and the central nadi is up parallel to your spine, and the eighth chakra, the mystical eighth. We talk about an eighth chakra in Kundalini Yoga, so that's what your question was, which is your energy field, your aura, the egg-shaped energy that surrounds your body and interacts with others who also have an aura. And you often feel how and you can sensitize.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm very sensitive, so I seal my energy field before I go anywhere that's really busy, and when I don't, I can feel it because I can feel. This might sound really crazy to people, but I'm such an empath. I'm such a sponge. I can feel other people's emotions, and it's an intense way to be. So and I've been this way my whole life. So I put myself into this white egg, and I visualize myself in this egg, and then I say to the divine or God or the universe, please release any energy that is not mine that I might be holding on to. And then I ask that it be released up to the heavens so that it's not going out into the field, the world. And in heaven, I believe that there are angels and beings and light forms that can transform darkness into light. So we can send it up there and it's transformed in an instant. And then I'll say, and please help me to reclaim the energy that is mine, because we are living in a world where people are subconsciously or consciously a little, leechy, like trying to get what they can from other people so that they are fulfilling something within themselves. I think a lot of times it's subconscious. I don't think it's conscious, but that kind of grasping on our energy can create an exhausted fatigue. And there are many times when we think something's going on and we're looking for the solution, is it hormones? Is it brain chemistry? Oftentimes it's that our energy field is not sealed and we're not in that, the potential that we can live in, which is that enhanced radiant body. So what do you recommend people do to keep their energy fields accessible still, right? Because we don't, those people who set too many boundaries where they're so cold, I never want to be that way. I always want to be that warm
Yeah.
person who is inviting, right? I don't want to be that yogi that's like, don't come near me. I just did my practice and it's mine. I do think that we have these gifts so that we can share them with the world and that we are being called by the higher realms to bring light to this world. And that's why so many people are downloading similar information. We might be thinking something, or we might be having this download, and then we read it somewhere else and we say, wow, someone else had that. I didn't even talk about this yet, because we're all from those cells that you're talking about. We are receiving this information. There's this quantum entanglement. So what do you recommend people do who maybe are starting to have spiritual awakenings or are starting to recognize that they're not healthy in certain relationships, or that they're having these moments of, I can't do this anymore, or these moments of feeling like they've been so torn down? What's your advice for, because I've been hearing from a lot of people that are in those situations as of recently, and I'd love to hear your take on that.
Well, what you just suggested, you just put a technique there, which this first step of that is being aware of the discombobulation in your emotions, you said. And you said you're sensitive to other people's emotions, and I think we all are. And what's an emotion? It's a pattern in your energy field. That's what I have come over my time to realize, that
It's a pattern in your energy field. See, I love that. And you can think of it as motion, which is energy in motion, energy in movement. So the pattern in your energy field that is moving, and if it's spiraling backwards and we need it to move in an opposite direction, it can feel discombobulating, right? Or if we have absorbed some ick it can feel
Ick.
discombobulating.
Yes, it's the ick avoidance techniques.
And also, but I want to ask also, do you think that everybody feels other people's emotions?
No, I think we do at a subconscious level. But what I was going to say is that being aware of how your energy field is being impacted, step one.
Mhm.
And you notice, like, oh, that was ick.
So
I love,
what would you say that people like? I
yeah.
mean, I know my ick, right? You probably know your ick, and how? What about some people who are like, wait, I don't even know my ick. How do I know?
Well, some of these icks and emotions are have labels on them. So ick is a great label for uh, an energy
What does
pattern.
ick stand for, by the way? Just kidding.
Yeah, it should be some acronym. The age of acronyms. So anger,
Hmm.
it's a label on something. Joy, it's a label for a certain state of energy. Anger, it's a label for a certain state of energy, which pull us away from what? From who we are, from who we know as our own centered being, born on our birthday with a calling, with a mission to what you said, to bring light of our own pattern, of a special pattern. When I say our own, I actually think it's something beyond that has come through us into this body. And our life is about
Hmm.
that. That's the life
Yeah, yeah,
mission
yeah. No, I agree with you
to
that
to
it's
share that energy. So for me, my technique is to come back to that. And it takes a bunch of work and technique,
so to
meditation
come back to your energy pattern,
to this center.
which is so the center of you. So let's just clarify. It is ours in this lifetime because it is our purpose, but it's not
Okay.
ours because if we don't do it, somebody else will do it because we're being called by higher
Oh,
realms to bring light, right?
yeah, we're all connected. I was just
Yes.
listening to Neil Tyson deGrasse saying there's a theory out there that there's one electron. And I'm like, what? The
Yeah,
physicists are looking at, yeah.
I mean, that's fascinating, right? So there's one electron, right? So let's just say that that means that if you're called to do something, right? And you have this calling, you're born with this blueprint and it's this map. I always like to say it's like a navigation system, right? And if the navigation system is not activated and we kind of detour and get lost and there's this need for this manifestation of sorts to happen on this earth, like maybe it's a book, right, or maybe it's
Mhm.
a television series, or I know someone right now who is a producer who is producing an incredible series, and it's needed, and he's so passionate about it, and the passion is so apparent to me that it's because it's a calling. So, for example, if he doesn't do it, he's on a detour from that
Mhm.
that's assignment, right, from the
Yeah, yeah,
divine.
yeah.
But it's okay because somebody else will get that assignment and someone else will feel those passions. And at the same time, I know for myself that something I've gotten very clear on, and one of the reasons why I'm even doing this podcast, is that when I don't take the assignments that are given to me, I feel it. And you know this about me, Dadam. I can get a little depressed, or I can feel a little bit like I'm, you know, spending more time moving, because we've moved quite a bit, than I am living into my purpose. And I can feel it in my body. And I can mistake it as maybe it's hormones. I can mistake it as maybe it's X, Y, and Z. But often I have light and love to give this world. I was born this way. And when I am detouring from that navigation system, my body reminds me there's something else. There's something else for you to do. And I think that's another reason why I don't like to go to shopping malls, or I don't even really like to just sit and have lunch, or I don't like to go to the movies. I like to do what I'm here to do and take care of the things I need to take care of so that I can do the things I need to do. And with that, of course, is spending time with good friends and of course with my family, but in more productive ways where there's conversation and there's what are you feeling? What are we experiencing? Right?
Well, it just reminds me, and you saying that is, you leave your house, you go out to whatever it might be, a mall, a movie, and you think, oh, I'm going to get back to my home. And I think that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about the energy field is you get back to what your neutral platform that you operate for. Our home is really the place, not only is it accommodation, shelter, but it's the place we operate from. We go back, we retreat into that shell of our house, and then we work from that out into the world. So this energy field that we started talking about is our home, and it's going to get buffeted by circumstances of life. And if you notice that, how do you start to notice your energy field? And that's really what the book is about. And I think some of these first experiences with Kundalini Yoga, for many people, you notice, you feel it is tangible. It's not some abstract, oh yes, of course, intellectual approach. Is of course I know my cells are held together with some sort of energy. It's very apparent. You start doing these exercises and you're like, oh my God, I never felt that before.
There's a euphoria that
It
comes
is
over,
euphoria.
right? There's
hmm
a high, like a natural high.
And and
So
and and a calm high, I will say.
yes, yes, not a cortisol adrenaline
Yeah.
high, but a calm, natural sense of ease. And what's amazing is that I've had students say, when I do Kundalini yoga, I'm so calm, but I get so much accomplished.
And
Right?
energetic.
Yes, yes.
So that's a state of energy. The calm is a state of energy. Everybody says, if you ask people if they would like more energy or less energy, most people say, I need more energy. I got so much I got to get done and I'm tired. I'm dragging my butt through the afternoon. Calm energy, centered energy, wise energy, intuitive energy, peaceful energy can bring energy that has peace to it. Can you bring that to the world? I was just reading, there was an article in the Washington Post, I believe, yesterday about how people are taking testosterone, and there's a medical reason to do that. But a lot of men are taking testosterone because they feel it makes them energized. But can be a wacky, aggressive, not good for wise, calm decision making kind of energy. Um,
Mm.
so with the yoga, on the one hand, yeah, I love that people saying they can get more done. Um, so technique wise, what do you think about the miracle breath?
Yeah.
One of the quickest ways to get in touch with your energy is through breathing. My favorite, want to know my favorite page in that book is?
Do you know it by heart?
I know the sentence. It's the
Okay.
chapter on breathing, which I don't remember, is chapter 4 or so. And it starts off by saying, we want to get you out of the idea that you're breathing a volume of air. Like when you inhale, what are you filling yourself up with? I mean, yes, there's air, but that you are breathing prana, the energy of life. That breath is keeping you alive. So, one of the quickest ways to tune in, to become aware of your energy field is by becoming aware of your breath. And as soon as you start to breathe consciously, right, as soon as you pay attention, there's all these new age terms, I try to put them in. What does breathe consciously mean? Pay attention to that breath, to the volume of air that you've just brought in through your nose. But imagine it's light, because it is. It's carrying energy. And light is a great way for us to imagine, to visualize what energy seems like. So if you breathe and bring your attention to the breath, all of a sudden, I'm paying attention to my energy. To me, that's the quickest way.
And I'm bringing light into my energy field. You know what I'd like to add to that too? So talking about wisdom, Eastern wisdom, so much of the Eastern wisdom is now coming over and being utilized in very accessible ways. And I think a lot of people don't even know that it's Eastern wisdom. We have the word Gyan, right? Gyan. So Gyan means the wisdom of the ethers, the wisdom of, it's not wisdom that we receive from listening to a podcast or from reading a book. It's more wisdom we receive from taking a walk in nature, because it's that divine wisdom. And I feel that the wisdom changes, just in a subtle way. The wisdom changes through the years. And right now, for example, if I was to breathe in that light, like let's try this practice, right? Like maybe everybody can do it as well, just not if you're driving.
No, don't.
Just relax the shoulders, and just not if you're driving, Well, maybe you can do it if your eyes are open, but to bring that prana, which means life force, in, or in many of the practices that are based in martial arts or Tai Chi, it's Chi, or even acupuncture, Chi, right? So Chi and prana are the same thing, but to bring that into the body in a form of light, and then also just ask for Gyan, right? Ask for wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And we breathe into our physical body. And when we breathe into our physical body, we automatically calm the nervous system and we calm the overthinking mind. And then we make space for the Gyan, right? We make space for that collective wisdom. And if we tap into that right now, without even going into our thinking mind, just going more into the feeling sensation of the body, and going more into the feelings, the wisdom, and the intuition. I'll tell you what I'm feeling. I'm feeling, and then you can tell me what you're sensing, Jadam. So I'm feeling that there is this very gentle, loving, motherly energy that is wanting to come into this world where the energy is spinning too fast. And this motherly energy is so healing, loving, compassionate, forgiving, kind, available. And at the same time, this motherly energy has a little bit of mama bear, and this feminine motherly energy is saying, no, that doesn't work anymore. And it's showing us how to take care of ourselves, how to recognize when we're giving our power away, how to make space for our own self-care and hygiene in the way of taking care of our energy field as well. And for learning how to say no when no is what the body says. But it's pretty gentle and loving, and it's shifting energy patterns in this world. There's a shifting taking place. So that's what I just tuned into. What did you just tune into, Dharm?
Well, I thought that your invitation of making space for this concept of Gyan is just a lovely thing. This opening and receiving. I do find that there is a universal energy that is a teacher, that is wants to share the universal wisdom. Gyan is that universal wisdom, not the wisdom that you go to school to learn, but the stuff that you know. And it's a deeper sense of knowing, but it's also, yes, in the collective. And there's something deeply spiritual in it, in exactly what you said, in this receiving of the energy that is very gentle. I mean, you can walk away from it. It's not going to be like, hey, get back here and listen to this. It's not that energy, because you can avoid it your whole darn life. But in the quiet moments, especially when you go to sleep at night, I remember early in my spiritual practices in college, lying in bed in my dorm room, and after a busy day where I'm not thinking about anything cosmic, I'm just trying to get through the classes and get fed and get my homework done. And then you get to lie down in your bed. So it's this moment, if you're not too exhausted, and reflect and say what you just said. Okay, teach me. What was there that I learned this day? Is there a lesson that I learned this day? Is there something that I can receive, some wisdom that I can receive? And without a doubt, there's a lesson. There is a message. There is something beautiful, because there's this archetype of the universe wanting you, wanting me, wanting us to be all who we can be. It's
I think you're so right. And to activate the true self and let go of that false self, right? Because the false self is not connected to the Gyan. The false self is
true. Yeah.
connected to expectations. The false self is connected to epigenetics, I believe, generational belief systems, the old patterning in our family of, children should be seen and not heard, or, don't be too loud, or if you do that again, I'm going to, those old belief systems of I'm too much, I'm not enough, I'm not lovable unless I X, Y, and Z. But when we tap into that universal Gyan, we know that we're enough, but it's about releasing the false self and coming into the true self. And with that, I want to add, what about letting ourselves make mistakes, knowing that we'll learn from them and we'll grow from them, instead of being that perfectionist that gets so stuck and is so afraid and so attached to overthinking? Because if we overthink and if we have insomnia, we won't make the mistake, right? What about allowing ourselves to say, if I make a mistake, I'll learn and I'll grow. I'm still doing my best to be the loving person that I'm meant to be. I mean,
think
Dadam, do you make mistakes in life?
yes, I made one once. I remember this,
Once.
1993 in January. Of course. So, you know, it's such an important concept, and maybe the narrative is not false self and true self. Maybe it's one of becoming self, that we are going from a state of non not being aware of that truth. I mean, there is this truth self, but I do see that as something at the end of a pathway that we are continually working towards, and continually receiving the guidance on, and getting more and more in tune with our energy. And you talked about it changes, it shifts as these decades go by as well.
And
Um,
it's just reminding me of one of the mantras in the book, which is Ong Namo Gurudev Namo, which
okay, yeah,
means Ong is the universal sound. Namo means I bow, right? Or, I surrender. Guru means that which takes us out of darkness and brings us into light.
towards
So
the
that
light. Hmm.
takes us out of who we are not into who we are based on the map that is our DNA, that is our fullest potential. Ong Namo Guru Dev is that teacher. Namo. So we're saying universal Gyan, right? I bow to that which takes me out of my false self into my true self, that which brings love instead of fear, that which brings light instead of darkness. And we honor that teacher. And that teacher is within us from that place of receiving, right? It's not giving my power away like, Dudum, teach me how to do this. It's more, let that wisdom come to me, even if it is so different from what someone else is hearing. And I surrender to it. I bow to it. And I love that mantra because of what it means. And I think with all mantras, we are setting an intention with them. Sometimes when I'm teaching, people will say, wait a minute, I don't want to have the mantra. I don't want to not know exactly what I am chanting. And I'll say, just have the intention behind it. And whatever you need to know, you will know. It's about putting your energy into it. And the interesting thing with mantras too, and we talked about this in the book. I don't think we talked about the phone number part, but I do teach this because I try to make these very, you know, enigmatic teachings that are so different accessible in a way that makes sense. But a mantra is like, if we're chanting it, we're moving our tongue, we're moving our lips, it's like we're dialing a number with our upper palate, lower palate, even our voice. And that number could be, 819-4749, right? But what it's saying is, show me that miracles are available. Our body and our whole entire being, including our energy fields and our soul and our mind, are dialing that number. You can put it on speed dial, like right now with our cell phones. Remember when we were younger, we had those phones where you had to like turn the thing, you had to know the numbers by heart. Now you just press the person's name. So things really are so fast. And mantra can be utilized that quickly. So we don't need to know it so perfectly. We just set the intention. Because years ago, if someone said, we're going to have a cell phone where you press someone's name and all of a sudden you have them, and you can also press their name and see them on a video, we'd be like, that's insane. That's not possible. But that is the speed of how quickly we can even shift our own energy field. We don't need to sit and do a meditation practice for an hour every day. We can, but we don't have to. It can literally take 3 minutes of setting an intention, purifying our energy field, calling in whatever it is we want to call into our lives, and saying, sometimes I'll just say, dear divine one, show me, what will you have me do today? What will you have me say? Who will you have me say it to? There are moments where I'll hear the message, do nothing. Okay. But when we get to that point where we really believe that the divine is speaking through our heart, something changes. I feel like I want people to get better. I want people to feel better. I know the selfish part of me in doing all of this is that I feel like I did my work in a given day when I've just done my best to give love to this world. And it's not, how many people bought our book today. I don't even go there. It's just, what can I do so that I know I am serving humanity the best that I can, so that I don't feel depressed, because depressed is
mission.
Yeah, it's we're depressing our purpose. And I think so many people who are not living in their purpose are feeling depressed because, and this is a question I'm going to ask that I think you can help people with, because they don't even know what their purpose is. How can someone discover what their purpose is, what they are here for, if they have no idea and they're stuck in some job that they don't even like?
Yeah, so it's tough to be stuck in a job you abhor. However, you can find purpose in little moments. It doesn't have to be that everybody is a minister or a yoga teacher or anything that we might conceive of as grandiose. Motherhood, fatherhood, childhood, being the best person that we can, living in a state of personal evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And that asking for that guidance that you just suggested, which is asking for some divine guidance. It's like, what is my purpose this day? What is my purpose this half hour that's going to be in front of me? Show me.
And what if people have a hard time getting to that point of even trusting that there's a higher realm, or even believing that?
I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't unless there's a tangible connection, and that's why. And you brought up mantra, so breath, the yogic movements that are in the book. These are just techniques, tools. In and of themselves, they're just something to do. But the awareness that hopefully they can bring is what it's about. That's what we're trying to get to. And you brought up mantra, use of sound. Sound is one of the most powerful tools that science is just even getting to.
Mm-hmm.
And these mantras are a great way to get us back to a center that we want to be in. And with practice, especially the first time, I mean, even without practice, a lot of times the first time you'll say something like those sacred words, it can be mind-blowing, absolutely transformative, because all our lives we're just saying stuff. It's like, where did these sounds come from? So to be very intentional about saying something like that mantra, Om Namo Gurudev Namo, and then hearing the resonance, the vibration that is created.
Vibration, yes, because we are vibration and we want to elevate our vibration, right?
Yes. And a lot of times, if you have out of stress, you come back, you do the mantra, and you feel, what has this done to my energy field? What has this done to my eighth chakra? So the mantras are really incredibly, incredibly transformative.
I was just thinking of something also, miracles, right? I absolutely believe in miracles. I've seen
Everyday miracles. Yes.
Everyday miracles.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was almost the name of this podcast.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't make it everyday miracles, because I do believe so much in miracles, is that I didn't want it to come across as being something that was, very Christian. Not that I mean, I'm Christian myself, but I didn't want it to come across
Charged
as being,
word. Sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, this is what I'm thinking. I'm looking outside and just looking at nature. I just love nature so much. And if you think about a seed that is provided with everything it needs to blossom into the most beautiful flower, including the gyan, the wisdom that it needs. It already has the blueprint, right? Within that tiny seed, I just received a packet of wildflower seeds at an event I was at for sustainability. And I'm looking at these tiny seeds. And the woman who gave them to me said, "Oh, you'll have wildflowers everywhere." And I love wildflowers. So the seed, the sun, the rain, the wisdom of the seed, this, and then also there's a morphic field, which is what is the energy field of the almost the emotions in a way of the seeds and the planets, which work together to create this high vibration garden. That's the morphic field of togetherness. It's like a community. And these seeds have what they need. And from that wisdom, from that community, from the sun, from the water, the most beautiful flowers bloom. And they're not working so hard. They're not like, "Hey, move over. That's mine. You took my parking spot." It's more, it's going to, it's almost like bloom where you are, right?
Yeah.
Bloom where you are. So it's about trusting that it's going to happen. And I do believe that as human beings, we are, it's a false belief that there's not enough. It's a false belief that most people are bad. It's a false belief that everyone's going to steal. How do we get back to that place of discernment? Because we do need to protect ourselves, but just know what the seed knows to become the flower. And that is a miracle. I mean, the way a seed becomes a flower, the way a sperm and an egg come together and a baby is developed and then born. It's all miraculous. But for some people, I think it has to go beyond the miracle of it to just its nature. It's the law. It's the law of existence, right? Remember those redwoods, Dudham, when those trees were so high when we were in California? And we did the research on how the roots actually all work together underground for those redwood trees to grow so high. That's
Yeah.
the
And
importance of connection.
and it's all in the quote programming. We have this little cellular nucleus that has some DNA in it. The tree's got DNA. We've got DNA. Now they're studying the very depths of the ocean and these sea creatures down there. There's some wild stuff down where the light doesn't even reach. And there's again, they're born, they live their lives, they have babies, baby fish. I was looking at these fish, the weirdest things. I mean, that's my judgmental opinion. But the DNA is the same. So what's going on there with this DNA somehow collecting the information? The way, if you ever see DNA, the way the light, it's almost translucent and holds light in a very special way. I have in our bodies, according to the Smithsonian, something like 30 trillion cells. It's
That's
a
a
lot.
lot. 30
Bunch of
trillion cells. I
30
mean,
trillion.
that's a miracle in itself. How is that even possible?
And Each cell, the other miracle, has folded into it or crumpled into it, somehow stuffed into it. Every cell has DNA to the length, if it was stretched out, 2 meters, 6 feet of this kind of what appears to be somehow reactive to its electromagnetic field, to the light field, to the aura, but also to this, what you're with the gyan, the greater field. In every cell, 6 feet times 30 trillion, that's a hell of an antenna. That's long enough.
I think you told me that that what you learned from the Smithsonian,
Mhm.
if I remember correctly, that when those cells were all connected just from one person, that that line could go to the moon and back.
It goes to the sun and back, not only once, a bunch of times. I don't remember. To the
But
sun,
from one human
in you,
being.
in you. So that
Amazing.
information is getting, and so it's no different for the tree. It's just different expression of the same potential. The potential is in the energy field. The DNA is kind of filtering from a vast amount of information that you could have, say that was, and a projection as well. So that's how powerful we are. We just we don't always realize it. And we're just trying to put some food on the table and pay the rent, pay the cell phone bill and all those things, you know.
So what would be your advice to someone who's listening who's saying, I I just want to feel better, and I and they're stuck in fear. They can't get out of that fearful mind. And yeah, what would
I
be
would
your
say,
advice to them?
I'd say lie down on your bed, put your hands on your belly, and inhale. And remember that something is breathing into you that loves you, that keeps you alive, and you can't do anything about it. You can slow your breath down and get aware of your breath, which is super healthy. But that force of life is breathing in you, will give you wisdom, will improve, will give you cumulative wisdom. What you learn today will be built on with what you learn tomorrow, and so on and so forth. And put your hands on your belly so you can feel your body inhale, expand as the air comes into it. Hang on to it. Feel the light and the love that's in that breath.
Right here.
There you go.
You want it to go right here.
Right there.
See?
There. Wow. Feel that. Now hold on a minute. Inhale again, Karina. Yeah, there, like that. Now just hang there and tune into the light and love in that belly, in those lungs, and let it circulate through your legs, to your toes, through your shoulders, to your fingertips, and through your neck up to your head, to the top of your head. And then when you're ready to exhale, of course, you got to exhale. And then exhale with awareness, paying attention, and it's all out. That's great. You do great. Do you do yoga, Karina? I mean, that's
Only since I was 18 years old, sir.
yeah.
Listen, I found yoga when I was in college because I'm convinced that I had undiagnosed ADHD. It's how I learned how to focus.
So
I mean, I did get tested for ADHD as an adult. I did a 2-day test, and I was convinced that I was going to be like, see, I told you. And they said, no, you have a generalized anxiety disorder.
okay,
I
so
said,
back up.
what?
How did that feel for you?
The breathing.
Yeah, the
Oh, I
breathing.
love it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I I love it. I am someone who I'm so delicate, and I don't say this like, oh, I'm so. I mean, I don't know what I would do without these tools. I feel things so deeply, and sometimes if I don't have these tools, I think there'd be days where I would just feel so stuck, like my feet were stuck in tar, because my nervous system goes into freeze. You know, I'm not a fight flight type person. I'm a freezer. And just doing that right now, it's just, yeah,
That's to me the answer. If somebody's
beautiful.
feeling what you said is feeling kind of hopeless, is start with the breath, and
Start
then
with the breath. Just
and then
do one thing. I was
but then
reading a book.
follow where it brings you, because there will be guidance.
Yes. And also for people who are, very affected by the nervous system, which we all are, especially now. If you're someone who freezes like I am, you use the breath and you can go into that place of, okay, now I can move. If you're a fighter and you're going to react and you're going to like throw something across the room, you can breathe. And so you pause. If you're someone that runs away, you can breathe and just help to, let the nervous system know that it's safe. I want to ask you another question, Dudham. What about people who have heartache and grief?
Yeah, that's a tough one in your energy field. Again, it's a pattern in the energy that we talked about: happiness, joy. These are all patterns in the energy field. And if you think about it as a pattern in your energy field, there's ways that you can work to get your energy field back to your home base,
Okay, I like
who
that.
you are. And again,
Yeah.
I would start. Let's do a plug before we go. We have to do a plug, because I think the book. I mean, here we've talked about a couple of things: using breath, using sound to get back to your home, and get. It's not that the grief ever necessarily goes away. The loss of a loved one, for example, but you can be in relationship with that grief from a place of centeredness.
Mm, that's really
and
beautiful.
and because we don't want to bypass things, but
Right.
we don't want to also get pulled away from who we are. So you said we're going to we I do want to do a plug for the book,
Yeah, go,
not
go, go.
because just to sell it, but just because I think people
Plug
are
it.
on this podcast. If I'm listening, I'm like, where do I get it?
Yeah.
And
Okay. So,
where
I
do
know.
they
I
get
agree.
it? At
So,
Amazon? I mean, or
well, all
your
right.
local
So,
bookseller, you can go down and ask them. It's called Essential Kundalini Yoga. Essential Kundalini Yoga by Karena, Virginia, and Dharm Khalsa. And I do,
published by Sounds True.
by sounds true, they're great. And your
It
local
used to be
booksellers,
it used to be wherever you get books. I mean, every local bookstore can
yeah,
order it.
can order it. Yeah.
Um, it's
And
available everywhere.
and there's so many local bookstores with mom and pop owners.
Yeah. I always like to
Um,
try to support the local
mhm.
bookstores too.
It's really important these days that we don't, any quicker than we are, become just huge corporations. I feel that those local people who hire local people, it's really important. But what's
I
really
agree.
important in this case is, if it's Amazon, it's Amazon. Get the book, start
Hmm.
reading, and start learning some of these practices that have helped me, have helped Karina. That's all. And if you hate it, you return it. And hopefully you don't. Yeah. And Karina's in all the photos. You did such a good job demonstrating these pretty technical poses. And I remember that photo shoot. They
Oh
would be
my
like, "Yeah, do it
God.
again. Yeah, do it again.
Do
Yeah,
it
can you
again.
just
Do it
hold that a
again.
little longer?" It was like, "Oh my
And
goodness."
can you do a backflip now, please? Great.
Yeah,
Hold the handstand. No,
yeah, you
it's
did
not.
great.
There are things that everyone can do, and there's modifications as well.
Yes, that's true.
Um,
I don't want to make it sound daunting, but you did a great
it's
job of
not, well, that's the thing. It's not, some people think, oh, I can't do yoga, right? It's not yoga in the way that people would think of, like sun salutations, jump throughs, all that. Yoga means to yoke body, mind, and spirit. So there's physical exercises, there's breathing exercises, there's energy exercises, there's mantras, there's things that everybody can do in this book. I mean, my mom's in a wheelchair, and come on, mom, let's do some of the exercises. And my mom's in an assisted living place now. Thank you, God. It was the greatest gift in the world for her. Um, and they have yoga there. So I'm going to go and volunteer now that I'm back in New Jersey, and bring the book and show these elderly people how, they can do essential Kundalini yoga
Yeah,
too. Right?
fantastic.
Well, Dharm, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for your friendship.
It's
And
great to see you on the video, and you're doing such a good job with these podcasts. They really are. Yeah. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
please give us a comment. Let us know what you liked about this, please. Let us know what you want more of. And please do subscribe to the Karena Virginia podcast on YouTube. And on YouTube, it's Karena, Karena, Yoga. Thank you again, Dharm. Thank you again for being my friend. And thank you for being on the podcast again. Please give my love to your family. And thank you, everyone. And to be continued.